After I had moved back home to my parents' house in my hometown, I was starting to get used to the quiet life again, as I was used to the hustle and bustle of the suburbs. I had been home for a few weeks and I didn't have a car, but my dad let me drive his old panel van around until I could afford to buy a car of my own. I had driven to the next town, 15 minutes out west, and seen my old girlfriend. We pretty much hung out all day that day, because she was the first friend I had seen since moving back. It was dinner time, so I decided to head home, have dinner, shower, and go hang out in my room, out in the back shed, before heading to bed. After seeing my friend all day, I felt like some alone time anyway. It was dark at this time of the evening, because it was winter, and obviously being cold as well, I did want to head home. I drove back, and the roads were so quiet, I really had to get used to the lack of traffic in this part of the state. I drove up my street, and then I turned into my driveway, and then started to drive up it, when to my shock, I unexpectedly see a massive figure standing in front of my headlights, which made me stop the car. It was a massive eastern grey kangaroo. He was just standing there. I sat there for a minute or so, but he would not move. I decided to slowly drive around him on the grass next to the driveway. I managed to get around the kangaroo as he was moving around in one spot, looking in my direction, watching me drive under the carport. I drove into the carport and I parked and got out and went into my room in the back shed to put my stuff away before going inside the house. As I walked over to the house though, the kangaroo was now hopping over towards me. This freaked me out and I ran for the house. "Mum, Dad, there's a massive kangaroo out in the backyard." They quickly got up and looked out the back windows and seen it. "Gee, he's a big boy. Haven't seen him around here before. Hopefully he'll move on soon." But he didn't. He was still there when I went out to my room after dinner. I managed to avoid it and got into my room. Next morning, my dad was up and he went outside to go for his morning walk, and the kangaroo was over near the bush line. He ignored it and went for his walk, and when he got back, it was gone. My dad had told me this when I got up. He hoped it wouldn't come back and be a nuisance. That evening though, it was back, and it was hanging around closer to the house, grazing on the grass in the yard at dusk. It was strange. It was on its own. Where was the rest of the herd? Did this kangaroo get kicked out of its herd, or did it just leave it? Maybe it had a partner and it got hit by a truck or a car or something. Who knows? But my dad was thinking it may have been grieving. Next morning, it was still there, but over by the bush line again. My dad rang the Parks and Wildlife Service to see what could be done about the kangaroo. Absolutely nothing. They said we were to leave it alone, and it would leave when it was good and ready. The next few weeks had passed, and the kangaroo had come and gone, but not every single day like before. Then it didn't come back at all. Maybe it found greener pastures to graze on elsewhere. We then thought maybe this kangaroo was an old boy, slowly moving along, and trying not to be a bother. He wasn't aggressive, but his size was just very intimidating. I'm 6 foot tall, and the kangaroo had to have been taller.